Hello, lovely people. I'm Emma, and welcome to the Makers Cwtch podcast. I'm delighted that you found your way here, and I'd like to start by telling you exactly what this podcast is about, why I've created it, and what you can expect when you join our community. Now, if you're not familiar with the Welsh word cwtch, and don't worry, most people aren't, it's one of those lovely Welsh words that simply doesn't have a direct English translation, and that's kind of what makes it so special. A cwtch can be a great big hug that fills you with warmth and a sense of safety, but it could also be a safe space, like a cubbyhole or a cupboard. Here on this podcast, it's about creating a space where someone feels completely warm, comfortable, and truly themselves. Over the past 12 years, I've built multiple businesses. Some have flourished and some have struggled, and some have succumbed to the challenges such as COVID and the cost of living crisis. I've pivoted more times than I care to count, adapted when I had to, and learned some hard lessons along the way. So let me tell you a little bit about that journey, because I think it's important you know where I'm coming from. Back in 2013, whilst working a full-time job, I started Lily Paws Pet Products, my first real venture into the world of small business ownership. And named after my dog Lily, it was exciting and terrifying in equal measure. And then life happened, as it tends to. I lost a grandparent, was made redundant, all in a couple of weeks. So I took a step back from that business and I moved into veterinary work in 2016. But that wasn't the end of my story. In 2017, after another significant personal loss that really made me reassess what mattered, I opened Lily Paws Dog Grooming. It was a complete career change, but it taught me so much about myself. How to run a service-based business, the logistics of working from home with things like planning permission, which isn't always easy to get. Trust me, I know. As these things were starting to settle, the world threw us all a massive curveball. Yep, you guessed it, COVID. Working from home with both my parents being vulnerable meant that my business couldn't function. My parents' lives are worth so much more to me than money, and I decided to close the dog grooming business in 2021. I had taken sewing up as a hobby in early 2019, and when my dog grooming business closed, I moved on to Easterkins, my children's clothing business that used custom printed organic cotton jersey, and I realized if I wanted to work from home in a time where things were so uncertain, I needed to protect those whom I cherished. I loved creating outfits for other people's little ones. But here's the thing about being a maker. The world doesn't always cooperate with your plans. The cost of living crisis hit hard. And like so many businesses, Easterkins felt the impact as everyone cut back their spending. And with children growing so fast, handmade was just a luxury that so many couldn't afford. The thing about us makers, we're resilient. In December 2023, I launched Emma Easter Handcrafted, focusing on luxury bags using custom printed water-resistant canvas, which I pair with both traditional leather and vegan-friendly alternatives. Each pivot taught me something new. Each challenge made me stronger. And each business gave me insights that I'm now eager to share with you. Now, I'm not sharing all of this to impress you with my business credentials because honestly, I'm still finding things out just like you probably are. I'm sharing because I want you to know that when I talk about the struggles of pricing your work fairly, or the challenge of explaining to customers why handmade costs more, or the loneliness that can come with working from your kitchen table or spare room, I've been there. I am there. The Makers Cwtch isn't coming from some distant business guru who's drop-shipped their way to millions in earnings. This is coming from someone who still tracks her time with Toggle to make sure she's pricing fairly while still earning at least the minimum wage for her work. Someone who's been to craft fairs where you sell nothing at all. Someone who's had to explain to friends and family why the handmade bag costs £150 when they can get one from the high street for £30. So, what can you expect from the Makers Cwtch? Well, I'm planning a mixed format that'll grow with us as a community. We'll start with some episodes that are solo, like this one, just me and you having those honest conversations about things that keep us up at night as makers. Things like pricing with confidence, dealing with those difficult customers, finding your people, and why British Made is worth every penny. Then, as we build our community, I'll be bringing in guests, fellow makers who've got stories that will inspire you and practical wisdom to help your business thrive. I want to talk to the makers working from their sheds, the ones that have just opened their first independent shop, the market organizers who see hundreds of makers every weekend, the experts who genuinely want to help indie and small business owners succeed, who won't overpromise and underdeliver. Eventually, I'd love to host panel discussions where we can really dive deep into topics that matter to our community. Imagine having a conversation about sustainable materials, the 3 different makers who've each found their own approach, or talking about a work-life balance with makers at different stages of their journey. I'll be honest with you, this podcast is going to be a passion project for me. I'm not expecting to earn millions from it, and that's actually quite liberating. It means I can focus on creating something genuinely valuable for our community, rather than worrying about monetization from day one. What I am hoping for is to create something that makes a real difference. You see, there's a gap in the conversation about British makers. There are plenty of business podcasts out there giving generic advice, but where's the warm, supportive space specifically for indie makers who are crafting beautiful things with their own hands? Where's the place that celebrates the maker who finally worked up the courage to price their work properly? Or the one who had their first £1,000 day at a craft fair? Or even the one who's having a tough month and needs to hear that they're not alone? That's what the Makers Cwtch is for. It's for every brilliant indie maker and small business owner across Britain who's ever felt like they're doing this alone. Whether you're crafting beautiful jewelry in your spare room, baking artisan bread before dawn, sewing like I do, pouring candles in your kitchen, throwing pottery in your garage, or creating any of the thousands of beautiful things that British makers produce, this is your space. But it's not just for makers. It's also for those lovely, conscious consumers who want to understand more behind what they're buying. The people that want to know why that handmade mug costs more than the mass-produced one, and why supporting British makers isn't just a nice thing to do. It's essential for building stronger and more connected communities. Because here's what I've learned over these 12 years of being a business owner. Whether I've been offering a service, making a product, or selling, when we support each other, when we share our knowledge and lift each other up, brilliant things happen. When customers understand the true value of handmade, they become advocates for our entire community. When makers help other makers succeed, we all benefit. I've seen it happen at craft fairs where one maker needs help setting up or is having a slow day. Other stall holders will step in to help or send customers over to their stall. I've seen it in online communities where someone shares a great tip that helps so many others. I've experienced it myself when fellow makers have shared suppliers, techniques, or just offered encouragement when I needed it the most. And that's the spirit that I want to bring to the Makers Cwtch. We're going to have real conversations about real challenges, but we're also going to celebrate the wins, share the knowledge, and build each other up. So whether you're just starting out with your first market or you've been building out your business for years, whether you're having a tough week or celebrating a major milestone, there's a place for you in our Cwtch. I'm not entirely sure what this journey will look like. I'm learning as I go, just like you are. But I do know that when makers support makers, when we value craftsmanship and support real people, beautiful things happen. The Makers Cwtch will be launching properly very, very soon. And I would love for you to be part of the journey from day one. You can follow along and be the first to know when new episodes drop by finding us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at The Makers Cwtch, or pop over to our website at makerscwtch.co.uk. Until our next episode, keep creating, keep supporting each other, and remember, you're not alone. You've got a whole community of makers cheering you on, and now you've got The Makers Cwtch as your safe space to learn, grow, and connect.